What's up, folks, and welcome to a special double bill indie showcase. Yes, there's going to be two videos this time out, and well, the reason for that is these are two games that came out at the same time and are related to each other, and I figured, well, we might as well just show them both off to you at once, because they are very different, but like I said, they're related. And yeah, they're shmups again. I'm out of jokes. I really am. But they just keep coming, and I love it, so, you know, what are you going to do? So yeah, this is Cotton 100%, and this is a modern release of a title that only came out in Japan, but was fairly well revered there. This was a Super Nintendo game originally, and the next game we're going to be talking about, Panorama Cotton, was a Genesis title. And this is another in the series of many shmup re-releases that we've been getting from Rodaleika Games recently, which is just this porting house that cranks out titles. And this is very much the same as a lot of their other releases. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time here talking about the technical features of it, but there is a timestamp down below if you want to skip that. These releases that they do are not bad. They have some features that you find in more advanced packs and are lacking some other things. And there seems to be an inconsistency between their releases, which is a little strange. Some of the other titles they put out have some extra bells and whistles that this one doesn't. So yeah, you can do some interesting things like apply shader effects, which you can actually customize quite a bit, which I like. A lot of old school retro players who are into things like scan lines and that, I think are going to really like that. But in this one, for some reason, you can't do things like apply a background wallpaper to cover up the 4x3 black bars on either side. I'm really not sure why that's the case, but that seems to be what they've done here. And of course, you have save and load states if you want, and you can actually enable cheats if you like. And both of the games come in two different varieties, which is just standard and challenge. Really, the only difference between them is that, well, look, in standards, you have a rewind function, save states and cheats. Challenge is the straight up play it the way it was originally put together. But the other thing is both versions do allow you to set options within the game itself, and these were in the original, that can also make it a lot easier. They have difficulty settings. You can give yourself a huge number of lives. You can do you know, things to definitely make it easier, even if you're playing it in its original, more difficult form. And as you're going to see here from this, and you probably saw from the title screen, this is from a weird subgenre of shmups called cute-em-ups. Yeah, it's a thing. These are... I don't even know how to describe it, but I can say that there's a reason they probably didn't come out outside of Japan back in the day. One of the bummers with this one as well is that it does have story content delivered through cutscenes between levels. Some of the other titles Rodaleika has put out, they actually translated the story. This one, they didn't. So you'll get the cutscenes, but hope you can read Japanese. So I have no idea. But they're called cute-em-ups because, well, yeah. This is what you're doing. This is definitely a subgenre that I don't think is going to be for everyone. But if you like shmups and are less concerned about the visual aesthetic or design choices, this is still not bad. It's a very good 16-bit shmup with some interesting mechanics to it. So it may look fairly standard here. You know, it's a horizontal shmup. You're going left to right and shooting things. But you get to pick, as you saw at the beginning there, you got to pick different weapon layouts, and you have different choices for both what your weapons are and what's called magic, which is the higher end. I guess you'd call it a screen clearing thing, though it doesn't actually do that here. And you actually have multiple different types of magic you can choose from, as you're seeing in the bottom right down there. If I press I'm playing on the PlayStation 5, though this is a PS4 game. And you can press the triangle button to choose the different magics that you have available to you, and then you can press the circle button to send those off. Every level actually has a mid-boss and a final boss, which is something you didn't always see in 16-bit shmups, which is kind of interesting. And you'll see that some of the enemies that I'm killing are dropping these little crystals. So by shooting these before you pick them up, you can actually make them more valuable. And there's a little experience meter in the bottom left corner, and that actually is what increases by picking those up, which can ultimately increase your weapon power. So you're actually leveling up with that. I had to figure a lot of this stuff out on my own, because the other problem with this is there's no documentation or guide to this, which is something I really think they should have added in. I know the original manual would have been only in Japanese, but just putting in a screen that says, okay, here's how the scoring system works, here's how the experience gems work, things like that, I think would have made a lot of sense. And this is not a poorly done conversion. I think the emulation on this is actually quite well done, but it just seems like they really cheaped out in some areas that are rather puzzling to me, because putting in a little instruction screen like that, putting in wallpapers for the background, doesn't feel like something that would have necessarily taken a lot of effort. But it wasn't done in this case, even though Radalaika has done that for some of their other recent shmup releases. Like I said, there's an inconsistency there that I find very odd. I don't know. And the interesting part is that this was a Japan-only release, but the company who developed this game, which is called Success, has actually put out a lot of stuff. They're still around to this day, and they have still put out some stuff since, including in North America, though they are still principally a Japanese developer. So this is a very interesting, I guess, time capsule to their early history. Also, this happens at the end of stages. It's the bonus round. It's called Tea Time. Symbols fall from the sky. You pick them up. The ones that are bright colored give you more points. The more of them you get, the bigger a bonus you get. Why not, right? I don't get it, but hey, it works. And it's actually somewhat challenging if you want to get a really big score. It's kind of cool. But yeah, the aesthetic for this is definitely going to be hit and miss. Some people aren't going to mind it. I'm sure some people will like it. Some people will hate it. I'm in the don't mind it camp. I think this looks a little weird, and believe me, when you take a look at Panorama Cotton, you haven't seen weird yet, man. I'll tell you what. But these play fairly well. You know, it's a relatively slow shmup. It's not, you know, it's not a super quick one. But it's got some neat ideas. I think the experience system is kind of cool. I think having multiple magical abilities that you can switch between and having multiple layouts that you can pick. Now, the multiple layout thing has been done before, but the way in which that stuff is applied here, I think is quite interesting. I do like the fact that even if you don't want to play with cheats enabled or something like that, you can just, you know, you can make this very challenging if you want, or you can play without cheats and still, using the game's internal settings, make it easier. You have a lot of flexibility there. And if you want to, you see, because that's the thing with this. So Radalaika is a publisher and porting developer that they're known for putting out a lot of inexpensive little indie games that always have dead easy to obtain trophies and achievements on the Xbox. A lot of people, because there is a bigger community of this than you would think, there are a lot of people who will buy these games because they're a cheap way to get 1,000 gamer score or platinum trophy. I've covered games before by other companies that are structured in a very similar way. And you know what, though? I don't necessarily have a problem with that, because the games that they put out are not shovelware. They're actually, a lot of them, I mean, maybe some of them are. I haven't played them all. They put out something like 82 games on the PlayStation 4 alone. But I played some of their other stuff, and yeah, they all do have easy trophies and achievements in them, but some of them are actually pretty cool. And they don't develop too many games themselves. I think they did with these, but they publish and port a lot of these smaller games. And they're smaller games that would have probably never come out on these platforms by small creators who often have some good ideas and who didn't really get, you know, who might not have gotten a chance to get to a wider audience were it not for their help. So yeah, they're a little, some of them are, you know, a little questionable, but a lot of them are pretty cool. And the thing that I like about this is this game is structured in a way where if you want to buy this and just chew up the trophies, you absolutely can. You could probably get all the trophies in this in like half an hour. These games also, for whatever reason, I don't know why, most of Radaleka stuff does not come to PC, and these particular games also didn't come to Xbox, and I don't know why, because it feels like it would be trivially simple to convert them over to Xbox, since it and the PS4 in particular are so similar, whereas the Switch is very much not. I don't know, it's a weird thing. But I think that what's cool about this is that if you want to buy this and just burn up the trophies, okay, sure, go ahead. But you can set this game up so that if you want to play, you know, if you're someone who's a big fan of shmups or has memories of playing the Cotton games from back in the day, or maybe you were one of the really hardcore people who imported them for the systems back in the day, you've got a perfectly serviceable version of them here that if you configure it a certain way and choose to play it a certain way, you can make it just as hard, or even harder if you want, than it was back on its original system. You can make it dead easy, but you don't have to. And in that sense, it actually caters to both people. And I don't really have a problem with that, to be honest with you. And as a big shmup fan, I love seeing more titles in this space coming out today. And especially games like this that never came out in North America back in the day, and that a lot of people maybe have heard of but never got a chance to play, and now they can. And while these Cotton games are a little expensive compared to some of the other Radaleka releases, they are, you know, it's a way to play these games legally, relatively inexpensively, and in just a plug-and-play fashion. No messing with emulators or anything like that. And they have some interesting quality of life features baked in, like the rewind and some other things like that. I think that's good. I really do. I think that's a neat thing to have happen. And if, you know, if it takes companies like Radaleka to do that, then that's fantastic, because the big publishers have largely given up on this genre. And a lot of these were not for smaller companies like that. A lot of these games would never see the light of day on modern systems. And I think it's definitely a net positive. And I mean, this game in many ways, other than the mechanics I just described, this game in many ways speaks for itself. I mean, it's crazy. It really is. It's crazy. But it plays pretty well. It's a pretty good horizontal shmup with some neat ideas. And if you can get past, you know, unless the cutesiness really, really bothers you, then I think it's well worth your time. If you're a shmup fan who just can't get enough of this genre, don't even bother considering it. Just grab this. If you've got a PS4, a PS5, or a Switch, just grab this thing, because it is absolutely worth it. And is it the best modernization repackaging of a shmup? No, it's not. But they did a pretty decent job. It's just a little light on features. But there have been way worse repackagings than this that have cost a lot more. So I'm really glad that we're seeing a lot of these formerly Japan exclusive games coming out, and I'm glad that somebody's taking up that mantle. And it's definitely a cause worth supporting if you're someone for whom this genre is meaningful. I would definitely suggest it. And if this is a really interesting time capsule of Japan in the 16-bit era, you know, if they had put this out in North America, would many people have bought it? Probably not. I think a lot of people, myself included, when we were kids, would have looked back at this and gone, "What the hell are you doing?" But having gotten a chance to play it now and see how it is mechanically, I actually think it's cool. It's interesting. I put a decent amount of time into it, and I'll probably try to platinum this because, you know, why not? Actually, I don't know if this particular game has a platinum or not, but I'll probably try to max this one out because it's, you know, it's just been enjoyable. I've been having fun with it. So, but yeah, I know I talked a lot more about sort of these shmup modernizations in general rather than this one in particular, but other than those few little mechanical things, I think this speaks for itself. It's pretty straightforward. And I tell you what, if you want to see something even crazier, then check out the other video that came out at the same time as this on Panorama Cotton, because it makes this thing look positively tame on the crazy scale in comparison. Believe me, that is something else. So definitely go check that out if you want to see more. And I promise there will be non-shmup games coming to the channel soon. But I'm just really happy to see so many of these things out here now, and I'm really happy to get a chance to talk to you about them. So yeah, that is the re-release. It's not a remake. The re-release of Cotton 100%. It is out on the PlayStation 4/5 and Switch right now. I would love to see this on PC. The PC shmup community is growing like a weed and would eat this stuff up. Guys, if there, fix whatever the reason is that you haven't put this out here, and get it on Xbox too. You know, the more places, the better for stuff like this. I'd love to see it. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. I do appreciate it. If you like what you saw here, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell. It helps me out a great deal. And leave a comment down below. How nuts do you think this game looks? And you know, does this interest you? You know, are there more old school shmups either released in North America or not that you'd like to see people re-release? Radaleka seems to be on a bit of a kick with this. So who knows? Maybe they could actually do it if they knew what people wanted to see. So I'd love to see that. And as always, you can find me over at twitch.tv/pxabstraction, where I do multiple variety streams, including other indie games that we don't necessarily cover over here. Have a great community there, and I'd love to see you. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next Indie Showcase. You folks have yourselves a good one. Take it easy. Don't forget, click that Panorama Cotton video. You're going to want to see that. Take care, guys.